Welcome to the first press briefing after the Federal Executive Council, the very first one for the year 2025. As you have seen, the Federal Executive Council today was divided into two parts. The first part had to do with the swearing-in ceremony of commissioners of Revenue, Mobilization, Allocation, and Fiscal Commission, the Federal Character Commission, National Population Commission, and about 8 permanent secretaries. So all those commissioners designate as nominated by Mr. President were today sworn into office. Likewise, 8 new permanent secretaries. Even though you were there, it's also good to tell you that the Federal Executive Council observed a minute silence in honor of one-time Minister of the FCT, Lieutenant General Jeremiah Hussaini. After that, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, on behalf of all the ministers, thanked Mr. President for all the leadership he has provided in the preceding year, and also informed Mr. President on behalf of all the ministers about their renewed commitment to ensure the smooth realization of the vision of Mr. President as encapsulated in the Renewed Hope agenda. I have with me to my immediate right the Honorable Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, together with his Minister of State Health. The Honorable Minister of Works, who had also so many memos approved by Council today, has also arrived, of course, sitting on my extreme right. And on my immediate left is the Honorable Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, who also has some approvals given by the Federal Executive Council. He is going to give you details of that. And then I have next to him the Honorable Minister of Arts, Culture, and Creative Economy. And then next to her, on the extreme left, is the Honorable Minister of State for the FCT. Let me also say that the Federal Executive Council is also, another one is coming up tomorrow. It is actually not just a continuation of today's one, it's another Federal Executive Council meeting for tomorrow. Recall that since December, we've not had anyone, so a lot of memos have gathered, and the President is determined to dispense with all of them. So we want to say that tomorrow there will be another press briefing after FEC meeting. Let me at this point invite the Honorable Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of Economy to go first. Honorable Minister.
Honorable Ministers, here present, gentlemen of the press, as the Honorable Minister for Information and National Orientation has said, I did present a couple of memos to the Federal Executive Council, and even though we do have another Federal Executive Council meeting coming up tomorrow, in the interest of timely and full disclosure of the activities of government and timely release of information thereon, I will just mention that today I did present, and we have the Honorable Minister for Health and Coordinating Minister of Social Welfare, who it really concerns, except that it was World Bank financing, IDA, International Development Association financing, which is the concessional arm of the World Bank. They give out grants and they give out virtually next to zero interest money, 1% funding for a long period, 40 years. And under the Human Capital Opportunities for Prosperity and Equity programs of the World Bank, of the IDA, 2 projects were approved for financing. The total amount, and one is for governance, to improve the governance around healthcare, primary healthcare in particular, and the other one refers to improving the governance around delivery of improving the quality of service, including improving utilization of essential services, also in the health system. And as I said, the Honorable Minister for Health is here, and so he can elaborate further. I will limit myself to saying that the total financing of those 2 projects under the HOPE agenda, that is not the renewed HOPE, this time it is the HOPE agenda, the Human Capital Opportunities for Prosperity and Equity program. So apart from 2 loans of 5 concessional loans of $500 million each, there's also $70 million in grant financing from other international bodies. So it's a total of $1 billion, I think $70 million in grant funding for the health sector. In addition, Customs, for which I have the honor of chairing the board, the Customs came with some 20 billion naira worth of important projects and procurements, CNG vehicles, and some construction of and furnishing of facilities, particularly their forward bases in the remote areas, and also about 1 billion naira worth of financing for life insurance. So it's the group life insurance policy, of course, which is implemented by underwriters and brokers. So we had 2 transactions for Customs and then 2 transactions in the health center. That's what I have to report for today.
Key decisions that the FEC took today under the leadership of His Excellency Mr. President. First is what the Honorable Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy has already reported, the HOPE program. But there are 2 other elements that I will also add to. On the first, the HOPE, Human Capital Opportunities for Prosperity and Equity, is a program that is very much in line with the direction of this administration to focus on investing in human capital of Nigerians. People are at the center of the renewed HOPE agenda: health, education, social protection. And with the International Development Association and the leadership of the Honorable Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of Economy, the technical ministries work with the International Development Association to develop this program for results. $1 billion, 500 million for governance, and $500 million for primary health care, with the additional grant financing, 70 million and some more that is outside that envelope. The governance piece is to improve the financial and human resource management for health and education at the subnational level. It's a P4R, is Program for Results, instrument of the International Development Association. And all states of the Federation can draw down from this facility to incentivize recruitment, training, placement, retention of teachers, for the education side and primary healthcare workers for the health side, half and half. The $500 million credit for the Hope PHC is to improve the quality, utilization, and resilience of the primary healthcare system. We'll be expanding the primary healthcare system. As you know, the transformation that is already underway, the Health Sector Renewal Investment Initiative, which the President unveiled in 2023, this is to build on that, to accelerate that transformation, expand primary healthcare, including strategic purchasing of emergency maternal, newborn, and child health services. So the free services that we had mentioned before in terms of policy, but now there is financing through this P4R that will make it even more real, in addition to whatever government is already putting through Basic Healthcare Provision Fund. The Emergency Medical Services and Ambulances Scheme, the Digital in Health, the Human Resources Development, as well as the medical industrialization and citizen engagement. These are the core pillars of the Health Sector Renewal Investment Initiative. So we have $500 million that states can tap into under this program. In addition, there are grant financing, $70 million from the Global Financing Facility, but additional $360 million in grant financing from other donors that is not part of this package, but is part of the support for the reform that Mr. President has been leading as part of building Nigeria's human capital. So this is an important statement by this administration that, in fact, investing in our people, the returns are real, not only today, tomorrow, but also into the future. And I think that's what this is all about, and the International Development Association and partners have come through to support the reform because they have confidence in the direction that this administration is going, alongside other reforms in the macro side and the growth side, which the Honourable Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of Economy have been driving alongside the monetary side. The second major approval is approval for the Presidential Treatment Program for HIV patients, 150,000 treatment packs, total of 4.8 billion naira to be delivered over 4 months. That is an important statement that the federal government is making to ensure that those who are already HIV infected, even though we have partners that are supporting the treatment, but federal government is already putting its resources to contribute. And we see that that is a signal that the support that the government is providing to those who are vulnerable to reduce the cost and to ensure that life-saving treatment is available. The third element is a discussion that Council had regarding the recent U.S. government's policy pronouncements on development assistance and the implications on health of Nigerians, HIV, TB, and malaria. And while we significantly appreciate all the contribution of the U.S. government over the last 20 years, and we continue to look forward to a constructive partnership with the U.S. government in the period ahead, Nigerian government under the President is looking towards transforming the sector that is nationally owned, using national systems, and using our domestic financing as well as other sources of financing to ensure that those who are on treatment do not lose the treatment that they are already on. And accordingly, Council agreed that a committee comprising the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Budget, Ministry of Defense, and looks forward to a constructive relationship with the direction that the U.S. government is taking. Those are the three main things that I would like to report. Thank you.
Colleagues, gentlemen and women of the press. So today the Council approved the establishment of the Creative and Tourism Infrastructure Corporation to invest and develop Nigeria's creative and tourism industries infrastructure under a PPP partnership. This is really a very transformative initiative that we hope will propel Nigeria's creative industry and the tourism industry to new heights by allowing it to unlock its immense potential that we all know it has for economic growth and for global soft power. The new Federal Ministry of Art, Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy was created in October 2024, and we are really meant to go out to see what we can do to build on the creative industry, the cultural industry, and the tourism industry. The establishment of this Creative and Tourism Infrastructure Corporation is a special purpose vehicle under a PPP framework that will allow us to identify and to deploy and finance critical infrastructure needs in the creative industry. I think we all do know that at the moment, everybody talks about creativity being in Nigeria. There's a lot of interest in Nigeria, not because of anything, but because of our content and because of our creativity. And Mr. President was very, very intentional in trying to diversify his government by making sure that we build on the creative industry and in innovation. So we have now engaged with development partners and stakeholders all over the world in this discussion to develop innovative infrastructure development and financing approaches. So the real key objectives of this CTIC is to provide the infrastructural foundation that is needed for the creative industry and for the tourism industry, and to generate at least $100 billion to the increase of the GDP and at least 2 million jobs, specifically for a younger demographic. We really hope to develop world-class infrastructure. We want to attract investment, and we want to nurture talent and innovation, and we want to promote Nigeria's cultural heritage and use it as a tool for growth for us globally and for us locally as well, and to create output generally. So by bridging the infrastructure gap, because everybody knows that there's a lot of value in the creative industry and in the tourism industry. And this value can only be really extracted to the benefit of the Nigerian if we put the modalities in place that allow its growth. One of the key areas that has a huge gap is in the area of infrastructure. There's a huge content, there's a huge talent, there's just so much, but there's no infrastructure. Just last year, December, everybody saw what happened in Lagos for Dirty December. This was a huge, huge way of showing the world that really Nigeria has what it can offer to the world when it comes to the creative industry. But can you imagine if that Dirty December was supported by the proper infrastructure that will allow its growth? We want to leverage on that output in order to make sure that we can really have the value, the huge value that can bring economic growth through this industry. So let me just talk briefly about some of the projects that we're looking at. And some of these projects are Obudu Resort, Ranch, Yankari Game Reserve, the Abuja Creative City, a 5,000 cinema screens, Creative City at the Wole Soyinka Center, Lagos, Center for African Arts, digital distribution network, upgrading the National Gallery, and expanding National Arena capacity to 100,000. We want to bring a Nigerian museum to Abuja. Imagine the giant of Africa not having a museum in its capital city. We want to bring Nollywood and realize Nollywood as a proper destination. And I spoke about the music arenas that we need to have all over the country. So, this is huge, huge. It's a wonderful day for the creative industry, and it's a wonderful day for the tourism industry, because we have started on a journey to put in place not only the infrastructure, but the modality that will allow us to really see the value and the worth that can be expanded to the general Nigerian public. So I'm looking forward to talking with the press in future as we begin to outroll some of these projects that we're doing. And yes, it's a fantastic day, and thank God that the memo was approved by the council.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Honorable Ministers that are here present, the gentlemen of the press. Today, the 3rd of February 2025, the Federal Capital Territory Administration has presented 5 different memoranda on the infrastructure development of the Federal Capital City and the satellite towns. The first memo that was presented was for the approval of award of contracts for the provision of access road, full scope, to bus terminal at Mobushi District, Cadastral Zone BO6, Phase 2 of the Federal Capital City, Abuja. And the contract was awarded to Mr. Setraco Nigeria Limited with the contract sum of 30,971,603,749 naira 21 kobo, with the total completion period of 18 months. The second memo was for approval for the award of contract for the full scope development of arterial road N1 from Uye District Ring Road 2 within the Federal Capital City. And it was awarded to Mr. Arab Contractors, OAU, Nigeria Limited, with the contract sum of 62,502,420,795 naira 31 kobo, with the total completion period of 20 months. The third memo was for approval for the award of contracts for the construction of Kuje Gwagwalada Dual Carriageway in the FCT under the Satellite Towns Development Department of the FCT administration. And the contract was awarded to Mr. Gilmore Engineering Nigeria Limited with the contract amount of 67,495,856,181 naira 0.2 kobo. And the fourth one was approval for the award of contract for the rehabilitation of Old Kefi Road from Kado Village to DAD by Outer Northern Expressway Junction, and is about 15 kilometers. That's here in Abuja. And the contract was awarded to Mr. Lubric Construction Company Limited with the contract amount of 26,870,063,666 naira 82 kobo, with the completion period of 18 months. And the last one was for the approval of award of contracts for the provision of access road to the renewed Hope Cities and Estates project within the Cadastral Zone BO6 and the Karsana West District of the Federal Capital City, Abuja. And it was also awarded to Mr. Lubric Construction Company Limited with the contract sum of 31,664,200,395 naira 85 kobo, also with a completion period of 18 months. These are the memos that were the memoranda presented to the council by FCTA, and they were all approved. Thank you very much for listening.
Honorable ministers here present and the press. Honorable Minister, we presented only 7 memos, just to ahead of FCT. But we had quite a number of very, very important roads within the economic corridor of the nation today approved. But let me start with the one that was approved for Ado-Ekiti Igede project. That's about 5.44 billion. We also have 6 projects totaling 102 billion under one memo, and that is the projects, at Egbeda. Egbeda is boundary between Lagos and Ogun. We also have one of the projects, Abuja Lokoja. If you go through Abuja Lokoja, you see that some of the sections of the road done by RCC and Dantata and Soho is folding, it's folding, and when they were confronted, they say it was high temperature, but that is not the truth. So we have, sectioned that aspect, and is being redone. Then we also have that of Ojere Road in Ogun State. We have Elara Iselu in Ogun State too. We have, another project in Iyeni Ilawe in Ekiti State, and finally one project in Kufu in Kasena State. And the third is a comprehensive evaluation of the piles in Tomeland Bridge and the Kata Bridge. We in 1999, there was a evaluation carried out, and they saw there were some deteriorations. And in 2013, it was repeated, and it was found out that the deterioration was progressive. And so we decided as a responsive ministry to, check all the pipes, inside the water in Tom Mainland Bridge and the Carter Bridge, so that we can devise solution to stop, further decay of the pipes. And that is for 3.571 billion. That to investigate, that to, give us report, and that to design the remedies. Then we have the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. Mr. President graciously directed that, why the sections 1 and 2 are going on within Lagos, section 1 Lagos and section 2 Lagos to the boundary of Ogun State, that we should start another section in Calabar and Akwa Ibom. And that's what we have done, and it's about 65 kilometers by 2 dualized. The project is going to cost us 1.334 trillions for a total kilometer of 130 kilometers, and of course it's on EPC plus F. So that has been approved by the FEC. And the fourth project is a total of 10 projects. And graciously, the famous Second Niger Bridge, the access route to the Second Niger Bridge being an issue. But today, FEC approved the Second Niger Bridge, the access route. There's one in Delta, 479 billion. It's to be done with concrete. And there is one in Anambra State, is to be done with concrete, 448 billion. FEC also approved, the Lagos-Ibadan Phase 2, Section 1, for a contract sum of 195 billion, and that is CBC. So these are the 3 PIDF projects that are, approved. And PIDF has been taken over by the Renew Hope, infrastructure funding. We will see the last one, which is the 3rd PIDF project, which is Abuja Kano. We come to that. And so a total of 885 billion has been approved for these 10 projects. But I just highlighted the major ones. But we also have the Onitsha-Owerri Expressway, which is 22 billion. We also have the Wusasa-Jos route in Kaduna State, which is 18 billion. Then also, curiously, we got approval for a reconstruction of 3 sections of Lokoja to Benin. And this approval is to be done on concrete. Graciously, the FEC approved. And that is the section 1, that is Obanaja to Benin, which is by CGC, 64 billion. There is Obanaja to, section 2, which is Awuchi to Edo section, which is 110 billion. And the last section is Eho to Benin in Edo State, which is 134 billion. So total of all of them is 885 billion. And then we have one project that is in Agbo-Ogogo in Abia State with a spur in Mako in Enugu State. That is, we had to descope it within the limit of the fund that is available, and that is 12.75 billion. And then the big one is section 1 and 3 of the famous Abuja Kano Road. You are aware that we terminated this project from Beja, and we sliced it into 2 lots. So lot 1 is section 1, which is the boundary of FCT and Niger State. But we also increased the scope by 5.71 at that point, going towards Kogi State. And then we also have section 3, which is in Kano. We also increased the scope by about 17 kilometers, going to Aminu Kano International Airport. So on the whole, we have about 118 kilometers, and the entire section is going to be lit up. We are preparing on how to tow the road. So we have a solar light all through this section of 118 kilometers, and the total cost of 252 billion. and is to be done on concrete, except Section 3, which will be done in asphalt. But majorly Section 1 is going to be done on concrete. And let me say that the cost, even doing it with concrete, is far cheaper than the cost we offer Jolobeja, which they rejected. And let me also add finally that we have, settled with Daily Trust. They've been to our office and we graciously explained ourselves. They're happy and we are happy. But the good thing is that the company they reported is a fake company. That's not the company that we awarded the job. And this company we awarded the job graciously are the same company that leased out all the equipment that Jolobeja was using on that road. So we are saving money by not going to pay for another mobilization. It's a question of releasing the equipment, from the yard of Jolobeja, and the work is started. So I invite you by next week for a very detailed groundbreaking ceremony. And everybody will be very happy. By the end of February, I would like you to evaluate me on the success of that road. I'm sure that within the next 2 weeks, we will come up with the last lot, which is 82 kilometers by 2, and that is in Kaduna, state. And we have also, asked for companies to tender. We also invited Jolobeja to come and tender. In each of the cases, we asked them to tender. Because when we can't agree on pricing, then we have to all go to BPP. They are the headmasters, they are the one in charge. They will be able to say Beja is right or wrong. But where they don't appear, it means they want to be treated specially. And this administration has no room to isolate any company to treat specially, because it's going to upset that particular sector. So we don't want to do that. So we'd like you to monitor us and hold us accountable as far as that project is concerned. Thank you very much.
Has granted approval for a detailed feasibility studies, engineering design of a proposed route alignment from Badagry Deep Sea Port to Tinkan to Apapa, Lekki Port to Jebu Ode and to Kajola. It is at Kajola it will connect with the Lagos to Kano Maradi Railway Modernization Project. The idea is to link the western ports to the hinterland. As it is, we have only a Apapa port that is linked with a rail line. We have a standard gauge inside APMT terminal in Apapa, which we are using for freight from Lagos to Ibadan. And we have the all narrow gauge that was rehabilitated. We have put it into use for freight from Lagos to Kano. So by the time we are able to link all these 4 seaports at the western corridor to the hinterland, it will further grow our GDP and enhance our economic activity. The contract was awarded at the cost of $45,303,000. Thank you very much.
Thanking you for appreciating what the Honorable Minister Barrister Elsum Wike and the Honorable Minister of State FCT, Dr. Maria, are doing in FCT, within the FCC and also the satellite towns, the 6 area councils. I'm happy that anybody that has been in Abuja will definitely testify the changes, how Abuja has been turned around, especially in the issue of our infrastructure. Old Kefi Road, as you've said, is a critical road. And this issue of rehabilitation, we even took it as an emergency measure because of the nature of the traffic that you've been mentioning. And if you look at the length of this road, about 17 kilometers, by the time we'll be able to rehabilitate and make that place smoother, then we'll definitely have traffic flow more very well. So this is the reason why the rehabilitation has been taken. And you can recall, you cannot do most projects without the budgetary allocation, appropriation, and what have you. So by the time we give this relief, then we now look at subsequently what do we think we can bring to those areas and other part of FCT and the area councils and the satellite towns. So this is the reason why we are rehabilitating. We took it as an emergency for us to relieve those pressure for the people that are coming on that, because we've been getting complaints from the people that are residing over there. So that's why the decision has been taken to make a rehabilitation of that road. Thank you very much. The second one is the issue of Kuje, which I think I've mentioned the completion period, which is 16 months. Just like I've mentioned others, some are 18, some 20 months, and this one specifically is a completion period of 16 months. Thank you very much.
So at the moment, the ministry is going through a restructuring that will make the industry more efficient. We are working through the National Assembly to ensure that we have a very, very efficient industry. This is an industry that has 49 subsectors, and for the most part, there's a lot of overlap in terms of what every single agency is to offer. So together with the agencies such as Video Censors Board, NFC, we're working to standardize the filming permits and curating the sort of model that you talk about, a sort of model that will really give an enabling environment. What we're hoping to do is to come up with that structure, with that platform, with that environment that allows, that makes it easy for Nigerian creatives to not only perform, but to really get the value for themselves and also import the value back onto the society. So with the filming permits, we're working to standardize that, and within the next couple of months, once the restructuring is through, you will see a very enabling situation that really makes it easy. So part of that also, we're looking at policy. We already have finished with the IP policy. We're just waiting for the Ministry of Justice to present it to the Federal Executive Council. And together with that, we're working on a creative economy policy, which we've also come to the end of, and also an incentive policy. This incentive policy makes it easy for Nigerian creators to get incentives for bringing in their equipment into the country, just to make it easy. If we're going to be the sort of mecca of creative industry in Africa, then we have to make sure that the creatives from Nigeria have a very simple environment for them to be able to create. Now, the next question I think spoke about the $100 billion. I know it does sound like a lot of money, but trust me, when you look at the scope of the creative industry, it really isn't. The creative industry has 49 subsectors. 49 subsectors. However, the huge amount of the resource and the value that is gotten from the industry comes from the top 5, right? The filming, the music, the fashion, the art, the animation. So once we put up the right structure in place, and part of the right structure is the infrastructure that we're talking about. And this is why the memo that was approved today, it was absolutely important for us to really thrive within that industry. Once you have the infrastructure in place, for example, your arenas, where you can have people come in and perform. As the head of Afrobeats, there is not one arena in Nigeria. So you have the likes of Davidos and the likes of Burna Boys having to go outside. As a Nigerian, you have to go outside of the country to see a Nigerian perform in an arena. That is a lot of value that is being lost. So within this, once you put the infrastructure in place that I spoke of earlier on, your Obudus, your cocoa beaches, your museums, your creative hubs, your creative cities, where creators can really go to, where there can be a lot of training, a lot of capacity building, and a lot of job creation. You're going to see areas where this $100 billion, and I suspect that we may even, if we get the model correct, with the infrastructure in place, with the IP in place, and with the funding structure in place. I suspect we're going to see a lot more than that. My target is actually 2030. By 2030, there will be, we will have contributed from the creative economy at least $100 billion, and I'm quite confident that with the right structure in place, we'll be able to hit that target. And I think the last question came from where are we going to get the money from? Of course, where is the money? Everybody is looking for where the money is. So what we have done in the creative industry, because we know that there's a lot of interest in the creative industry, so globally. So what we have done is we have gone outside to look at where we can get funding. Afrexim Bank, for example. Afrexim Bank committed $200 million to the creative industry. I have just finalized how we will be able to use that money, and this creative infrastructure development corporation is part of where we're going to be able to put that money through to be able to create the infrastructure that is necessary. Big Win, for example, gave us $2 million where we can Big Win gave us $2 million where we up to put together a strategy for job creation. So there's a lot of funding coming out. Abu Dhabi, I've just finalized an agreement with Abu Dhabi where they're going to finance a number of initiatives when it comes to the infrastructure in the music, in the film, and in the fashion industry. So as the time goes, we'll be able to unroll some of those initiatives that we have been able to, thank you.
The $1 billion and $70 million grant, $1 billion, which is an IDA credit, these were approved by the Board of IDA in September 2024. Today, what the Federal Executive Council did was approve the facility. So even if the IDA board approves, the Federal Executive Council with the chair are the highest executive decision body and decided to go ahead with the facility to finance investment in human capital. And it also approved the Minister of Finance, Coordinating Minister of Economy, to execute the agreement on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria. On the 4.8 billion naira contract awarded for antiretrovirals for HIV affected population, the 1.3 million that we have, this will contribute to treatment of 150,000, more than 10% of that number. But the important point here is that the procurement will be from an entity that is going to be locally manufacturing antiretrovirals. This is in line with the direction of the President for us to industrialize medically, to begin to produce some of those products in Nigeria. And I believe that the direction of the US government in terms of the new policy direction on aid is not too far away from the direction that we had already been taken since December 2023 in terms of the Health Sector Renewal Investment Initiative and the sector-wide approach, which is national ownership, national responsibility, using our national systems, using our money, our own domestic resources, but also ensuring that it's effectively deployed and increasingly take the responsibility for the care of our people who may have HIV, malaria, TB, along with other diseases that we've been investing in. And the committee that was put together, the Ministry of Finance, Budget, the DG Budget, the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Defense, to begin to articulate the transition and sustainability plan over the next 3 months so that we meet the US policy direction with Nigeria in a way that only builds stronger partnership. That is the direction. So this approval and this other policy measure we're taking is a constructive way of engaging with the new year's policy direction. We are saying we appreciate all the support over the years, but Nigeria also needs to work its way to exit from dependency and towards self-reliance and national ownership using national systems, while appreciating whoever it is that may come and contribute to our own population's health.
Beginning of the shoulders, work has started, and that carriageway is going to be blocked. So it's not gutter. is removal of bad soil, and they're filling it back. So work has started. So I said the entire stretch is going to be blocked. So we're going to be inconvenience road users by following one carriageway. And so that's the only way we can do it. So it's a very good job. Total number of contracts that are approved for Ministry of Works today, 7. It's difficult to give you the breakdown of the kilometers, but we will arrange to do press briefing maybe this week or early next week. We'll get you to know. Bua section. Yes, Bua is doing, it was doing a total of 60 kilometers before, Lokoja Benin, but we have descoped it to 20 kilometers on Ekpoma, and it's doing very well. That job is ongoing, and it's not part of what, was awarded today. On the issue of Beja, there's nothing like Beja Umahi and so on and so forth, It's a question of the policy of the federal government, value for money. And so you find out that what Beja was asking us to give them was over 3.5 billion per kilometer. And right now, and that is on asphalt, and if you go on that road, you will see that a number of that section that's been completed is being patched, which means that the road has started to fail. But we are doing exactly what we're doing on the coastal road. We are using concrete, and the value of what we are awarding is less than 2 billion per kilometer. So there is value for money. So let me just say that the Beja before now, was given a kind of preferential treatment, but the contractors are much away now. If you give Beja what they are looking for, then it's going to upset the ministry. I will not be able to achieve much. That is the truth, because the economy is tight, and so we have to be very prudent in the use of resources. So we have no problems with Beja. After under us, we gave them the Third Mainland Bridge and Kata Bridge. That's a fresh contract we awarded to them. And we also conceded to all their demands in the Bono Boni project, which is costing us today about 9 billion per kilometer. So you can see that Beja is our friend, but we also have other friends that we must treat equally. Thank you.
Recap to thank you for being here. It's been a long day, and like I said, the FEC meeting will continue tomorrow. As I always say, report honestly and responsibly for our nation. Thank you very much.